Well, we've seen the new reports that come with Microsoft Project 2013, but we still have access to the visual reports that were available in previous versions. So if we take our My Bedroom August Underway file and look at the report ribbon, we can see all the new reports here in their sections, but then there is a separate section for visual reports export. Now the visual reports, if we choose the option, gives us a list of built-in reports, and should you so wish, you can actually create new templates to build new reports based on the data that you have in Microsoft Project. But the built-in reports already exist, and you can choose any one of these, and what they effectively do is take the data relevant to the title, export that data to Excel, and create you a pertinent graph. So you can see a preview of the graph, whichever report you select on. So Resource Cost Summary Report is going to create a pie chart. We can choose how that usage is broken down, and you can see the different date derivations. Because our project is quite short, we might want to choose days. Now, depending on the report you choose, this will have more or less of a bearing on the result. Now, you can export reports into Excel or into Visio, but you would need to have both of these, or either or, if you're going to use one or the other, installed on your machine already. Notice here they're all Excel options, but there are a few Visio ones available. So if I choose the Resource Cost Summary Report as my first option, this is all of the built-in Excel reports. And what you will find is each of these other tabs is effectively just a filter for the all option. Now, because there aren't that many, I'm just going to look at them in all. So we're looking at Resource Cost Summary, looking at our data based on a date derivation, and then View. And what effectively happens is it builds the data set required, exports that to Excel, and then we get Excel open, and it shows us the pie chart we just saw in the preview. That's our Resource Cost Summary. So the blue is work, the red is material, so it's quite a large percentage of our cost. And then the small little green sliver are the cost resource types. Now you'll see in Excel it's created one chart, and then the resource usage tab is where the data is, and that data has been summarized in a pivot table. If we'd like to know where the $8,392 has come from, behind the scenes of our pivot table is a set of data. And we can see if we go to the data ribbon, there is a connections option, and this is our resource usage data here, and we can click properties to see that data. Now the data is stored, well, the definition for the data is stored in this little file here, which is a cube file, .cub, and it gets its information from your project file. Okay, that's closed. Obviously, editing that file and changing the connection is outside the remit of what we want to do. We're simply looking at how we can export our report data into Excel to get a visual chart, in this case, a pie chart. Obviously, once you're in Excel, you can then go ahead and do some formatting, so we could lose these decimal places and the like, change these to percentages perhaps in our chart. But that's inside the remit of working with Excel. Back in Project, we could choose any one of these, and you can see the type of chart you're going to get. Remaining work report, that one can be quite useful. Gives you a column graph of each of your work resources. And we can see how much they've already done and how much they've got left to do. So the decorator's done a bit of his. Me, I've done a larger section than the others. And the joiner's done nothing. And then plumber doesn't have any work assigned. And then there's unassigned work, and there's none in there as well. The output from this particular report is a column chart where we see each work resource only, not the materials, and how much work they've carried out. So here the decorator, the darker blue is his actual work, the lighter blue is remaining work, and same for me, actual and remaining. Plumber's not got anything planned in at all, and then there are no unassigned work options. Just as the other template, we have a resource summary tab, which is the pivot table behind that chart. And this is the data that has been extracted from your project data, dropped into a cube file, this is a cube data file, which your Excel can then use to create the pivot table and then the chart from the pivot table. You are then free to save this file and go ahead and do some customization on the formatting. If you don't like the 2 shades of blue, you could go with your own color scheme. So that's the visual reports. These were available in previous versions of Microsoft Project, and they've been retained in the current version 2013 because of that usability of being able to push the data out to Excel or Visio and see, well, a pretty graph. Personally, I think the usefulness of these has been superseded by these great new report options that have been introduced in this version of Project 2013.